Good day and welcome to this week's Silly Point podcast. Later I'll be joined by Scott Sawyer from the Sunshine Coast Daily in sunny Queensland. But firstly, I'm joined by Tushar Buhl, who's a freelance journalist based in India. Welcome to you, Tushar. I'm going to talk about the test match this podcast and see how we go. But firstly, what's been the reaction to 36 all out from the Indian perspective?
Oh, first of all, thank you for having me. The reaction has not been really good. Obviously, people are seeing the funny side of it because that's the best way to cope. But obviously, there has been a lot of discussion both in the media and among the experts. The former cricketers have had their say on what should be done. People are asking the media and the fans to calm down, and this happens, obviously stuff like that. But obviously there has been a huge amount of what I would say is discussion and debate and disagreements on what should be done and what went wrong.
Did you see it coming after what happened on the first couple of days?
Yeah, not really. Actually, when I woke up on the third day and I saw 30 for 8, I was surprised. I thought it was 308 or something, but it was 30 for 8, and then they just went all out for 36. I did not expect that at all. I thought India were in a very strong position, and I thought they would win the first test after day two, but uh, one session changed it all.
Look at the way the test was panning out in the first innings, and obviously the turning point probably was when Virat got run out. There seemed to be a needless run out for Rahane of all people to run his skipper out, considering maybe he was trying to take over the skipper a match earlier than he should be.
Yeah, that led to a lot of memes, including that one about Captain Phillips meme saying like Ron is saying, "I'm the captain now." So that was that was a defining moment, obviously. But even then, I think 250 plus was a decent score, and obviously Australia struggled. Did not look like they would even reach 150 at one point. But Tim Payne batted really well and took them there. But even then, at the end of day two, India were on top, and they looked like they would. I think it was like a carbon copy of the first test of the 2018 series up until day two, when India scored 250 and took a lead after first innings. And in the second innings, in the 2018 test match, they scored a big second innings score. This time, the only difference is the Australian bowlers just bamboozled them and took over. That's the only difference, I think.
And one of the other differences, I suppose, was the catching. I mean, Tim Payne got 73, but he got dropped a couple of times. Marnus Labuschagne got dropped a couple of times. Unfortunately, Prithvi Shaw didn't have the best of test matches, and he was one of the culprits, as was Bumrah. Do you think the Indian fielding was partly to blame for what happened as well? Maybe lack of confidence?
I mean, even with the catches dropped, yeah, of course, catches make a difference. And if the catches weren't dropped, Australia would have been all out for 150, and India would have, cruised to victory. They wouldn't have hit 36 if they had like a 100-run lead. The scoreboard pressure would have kicked in. But even then, 36 is just inexcusable, really. No one should be getting 36. I think, yeah, even last summer when Australia dominated both Pakistan and New Zealand, neither of those teams fell for like 36 or less than 100. So it's just inexcusable from India's standpoint. And I mean, catches cannot be blamed in the end. It's just the batting in the second innings. Even if India had set up Australia a total of 150 to 200, it would have been a bit tricky with the way the pitch was behaving and the way the Australian batsmen were looking a bit nervous. But in the end, they just folded, and that's what is to blame, and not the catches. I don't think.
It didn't seem to me the ball was doing that much. The pink ball is obviously moves around a lot more than the red ball at night time, especially, but not necessarily during the day. A lot of talk in what I've read from India is that the T20 might be to blame for the lack of technique, and also the calls to bring in Rahul Dravid, the wall, to maybe work with the batsmen and see how they can benefit from his experience. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, Rahul Dravid would be, I mean, obviously his experience is obviously great, but even so, Test cricket is all about patience, as we saw in the Ashes, and as we have seen over the last couple of years. Batsmen aren't as patient these days, and they are tempted to even have a go at wider deliveries. But Test cricket is all about patience, and the way Kohli was dismissed, especially, he did not need to play that shot. Even Saha didn't need to play the shot that he did. There were a couple of poor shots, and they just sometimes it's all about patience and biding your time, like India did in the first innings. But they just could not cope, I think, with the Australian pace. Yeah, and that's what they need to do for the remaining three tests. Be a little more patient, wear the bowlers out. They can't bowl Cummins and Hazelwood and Stark all day long. You'll have to, Ripon Payne will have to rotate, but India just did not give them that much time. They did not need to bring Lyon on, or did not need to bring Stark on. Just Cummins and Hazelwood, one spell did the trick. So you need to be a little more patient in the remaining tests.
And they're all going to have to do it in Melbourne without, and for the rest of the series, without Virat Kohli. How do you think they're going to cope without Virat?
Well, obviously, it's a huge blow. He's the best batsman, obviously, and they'll wonder where will the runs come from in his absence. Obviously, Pujara is there, but other than that, they do not have any world class batsmen without Virat Kohli. So that's a big issue. But obviously, his leadership and his on-field presence is also going to be a big blow. Obviously, Australians love to play against Virat Kohli, and he's someone who makes them a bit ramped up as well. But so it'll be interesting to see how the Australians deal with that as well. But I think they'll also feel confident that now that Virat's gone, we can just roll them over. So yeah, I think it's going to be interesting in how India react, how India get their runs now. Some of the other players will have to step up. Some of the senior players will have to step up. But again, even Australia, they might get overconfident in his absence. So that's something Australia will have to be careful about.
How do you think they're going to go with replacing him? What do you think their lineup would look like come Melbourne? Prithvi Shaw's obviously struggled in the first test, and he got out more or less the same way in both innings. Bat and pad. There's been talk about Shubman Gill coming in instead of him, and obviously then Virat's going to be missing from the middle order. Would you bring KL Rahul in there? Is there anybody that's like is Jadeja back from fitness next? How do you think the lineup's going to look?
I think they're gonna bring KL Rahul in. He is someone who has experience of leading teams as well. He led the Kings 11 in the IPL, so he's someone who's going to take a senior role in the team. Obviously, there's been talk of Shubman Gill coming in. He's got a good first-class record, but he's never played a Test match. So I think it could be a good time to bring him in, bring some fresh blood in, and see how he performs. Because generally, Indian openers fare well. Like if they're making their debuts in Australia, I think Prithvi Shaw and Hanuma Vihari had a really good tour last time around, and they were untested. So I think he could have such a similar impact. And I think Rhythm and Saha will be replaced by Rishabh Pant, who is a bit of a better batsman than Saha. So he's going to be coming in, and it'll be interesting to see how he plays as well. He was a bit out of touch in the IPL, but he hit a good score against Australia. So he's going to be someone to watch. And obviously, Ravindra Jadeja, he's going to strengthen their batting, strengthen their bowling. Not necessarily because Ashwin had a really good game. So it's going to be interesting to see if they go with 5 bowlers or if they go with 4 bowlers and drop Ashwin, which I don't think makes much sense after he took 5 wickets in the first test.
So, and obviously, Mohammad Shami is missing from the rest of the series with a broken wrist. He seems to be their go-to man when they want a bit of fire and brimstone, and without him, that they haven't really got much other than Bumrah's sort of like he's like line and length. difficult to get away, but Sharmi's more your bouncers and stuff like that. So how are they going to cope without him? Is this Sharma coming in, or is there somebody that we haven't seen that can come in from the Indian squad?
Ishant Sharma has been ruled out for the rest of the series, so he won't be coming in, which is a big blow, obviously, because he's been in great form over the last 2 years. Mm-hmm. He had a really good series in 2018 as well. So it's a big blow. I think Navdeep Saini, he is untested, so he's going to come in. He played in a couple of the limited overs games as well, but he went the distance. So I don't know how he will do, but he is the favorite, I think, at the moment.
All right. So where do India stand then when they're coming into the MCG test? They've obviously had won the series last time out, and they gained some confidence from that, and they would have come into this series pretty confident after what's been going on. But I suppose that 36 all out is a difficult thing to come back from, isn't it? It's really hard to see where they're going to go from next. Can you see them coming back from that?
Honestly, yeah, I can. They needed to win the first test match to have any chance of, coming into the series. We saw how down they were in the second innings. They just looked flat. They fell flat. And I don't think it'll get any easier, because Australia will just ramp up the pressure, and they'll look to, they'll have their set on a clean sweep. So unless Australia, get overconfident, which we have seen happen in a few games. I think we saw it in England in a couple of games. They get overconfident and then they just lose their focus. So unless that happens, I think Australia will win quite comfortably.
Sadly, I think we're all looking forward to a really tough series like it was last time around, like 2018. And it'd be great if the Indians can come back and show a bit of fight. Maybe somebody like Rishabh Pant, who's got a bit of fire, and Jadeja can bring something in and something, fire back at the Australians in that respect by attacking their bowlers and putting them off their line and length. Maybe that's the way to go.
Yeah, I think they'll have a crucial role to play, because we have seen India's lower order fail to score runs. So if in recent years, so if Pant and Jadeja can, score some runs from 7 and 8, they will be crucial. They will have a crucial role to play. So yeah, those two are important. And if India can, stay in the series after Melbourne, they'll probably have Rohit Sharma back as well. So that will, be a much more like for like replacement for Kohli, because Sharma is, someone the Australians will respect, and someone who can score a lot of runs. So I think this, if India can, stay in the series after Melbourne, they'll have a much better chance of, getting something out of the series. But right now it just looks like they're demoralized, and Australia will just cruise through to victory.
With COVID-19 going on around the world, and obviously India's been badly affected by it, how much would a win by the Indian team, or even a draw from by the Indian team in MCG do for the morale back up in India?
Yeah, it would be massive. I think cricket is obviously a big sport in India, and people were, making fun of the collapse on social media, but obviously it would have hurt a lot, and it would have, lowered the morale as well. So obviously, if you can get a win, it would be a great parting gift 2020, but for them. But let's see what happens.
Well, let's hope for the Indians' sake and your sake that they can get a result of the MCG. It's been fantastic to talk to you. Stay safe in India, and maybe we can chat after the MCG test, and India can at least have a draw and save some face.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be an exciting matchup, no matter what happens, no matter who wins. I'm just looking forward to, some quality cricket.
Good on you. Thanks very much, mate. We'll speak again.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Joining me today is Scott Sawyer from the Sunshine Coast Daily in sunny Queensland. Welcome, Scott. How are you, mate?
Good, mate. How are you? How's things?
Yeah, very well, thank you. In sunny Perth this week, I get around a bit, you know that.
Yeah, you do.
It's 37 degrees here. I'm pretty warm, but I'm thinking about plenty of stuff to talk about this week. We can't go anywhere without thinking about that 36 all out for the Indians in that second innings. What the hell happened there?
36s. How good was it? It was wild.
Well, good for the Aussies anyway. But I mean, if you're an Indian fan, that would have been something that came out of completely nowhere, wouldn't it? Surely, after what had happened in the first innings and the way that they were going in the Test match.
Yeah, it was bizarre. No one saw it coming. No one at all. Really weird way for Kohli to finish up as well. What a weird series. No, it's really strange. I actually, when it happened, I actually said to one of my mates, said, throw $10 on the Aussies to get rolled for less than 89 or whatever they needed to. It had that feeling about it. Yeah, could they go and skittle us back? It just was such an out of the blue result. It was weird.
Well, especially when normally the pink ball does a lot more in the night session, and this was during the day, and it seemed to me the ball wasn't going sideways, but it was just doing enough. So, Scott, do you think it was more of a case of bad batsmanship or good bowling? Where would you put that?
I still thought it was pretty elite bowling. But Kohli made the point that he felt that their shot making made it look much better bowling than it was. There's probably a bit of truth in that as well. I still think they put him, Cummins particularly sort of hit that really, really good length and probably did, just enough to catch that edge rather than, they weren't moving it massively, I didn't think, but it was sort of just enough to catch those edges. Hazelwood was brilliant once again.
Josh Hazelwood 5 for 8, and Pat Cummins picked up 4 wickets. Obviously, Mitchell Starc on this occasion wasn't needed to get the wickets, but where would you rate this attack, especially with Nathan Lyon as the fourth bowler in the group of 4?
Yeah, I saw this debate unfolding today. You probably look back your McGrath, Lee Gillespie, Warne. You've got before that, obviously Tom O'Lilly, those sorts of guys. You got the West Indian attacks. In terms of an Australian attack, I think I still put the McGrath, Lee Gillespie, Warne combo up there above these guys. I think probably the Pakistani attack back in the day was still ahead of these guys. But very, very good attack. And I actually think Lyon is the glue that really helps this together. I thought he bowled really well without much luck in the first dig. I thought he was really good. And just sort of he gives, I guess, the freedom for, Starkey can be expensive. When he's off, he's off. But I think he gives them that freedom. If he's having a loose day, Lyon can really tighten and end up. And Hazelwood's just a metronome.
Well, you mentioned the fact earlier that it was a shock that this came about, this 36 all out, because really until then, and then probably until the Kohli run out in the first innings, India were on top, and they were looking to get at least a score of 300 in their first innings, which would have put the Australians under a lot more pressure.
Yeah, 100%. And that Kohli run out was huge. You can't sort of underestimate that either. He looked quite good. He was cruising. And I think it was him and Rahane at the time. Like they would have been pretty hard to stop. So it was a huge point in the game. And then I think going the other way too, I think Timmy Payne, his role was really, really vital. 5 for 79 he came in at. If he goes if he goes cheaply, 6 for 90, and it's probably all over. So I think, really contrasting fortunes for the two skippers. Payne really dug in. It wasn't a chanceless innings by any stretch, but it was one of those. I really rate him. He plays these really gritty knocks. I think it seems like the harder the game scenario is, he seems to really step it up.
Well, look, if India had held their chances, like they dropped Marnus Labuschagne a couple of times, Tim Payne was dropped by Prithvi Shaw. One of the easier catches you'll see, or Bumrah dropped an absolute dolly as well. If those catches had been taken, it could have been a lot worse for Australia, couldn't it?
Yeah, and that's the thing. It could have been. And that's why I think it was such a shock, the result. It had the feeling that, as soon as they got through that night, I just thought they're going to pile a few runs on here and take this completely out of reach. So it was really, and I guess credit to that bowling attack too. They had sort of no right to, to do what they did, and they had no right to try and sort of peg that back. Really, it was against them. I would have thought bowling in the daytime. It felt like the odds were all in that Indian side's favour, but yeah, credit to them. They skilled them. Did some damage.
How important do you reckon that innings was for Tim Payne in the scheme of thing, and the fact that I think he got 6 catches as well, or maybe 7 catches. He actually won the player of the match. Was it important for him to do that with all the talk about maybe bringing Steve Smith as captain back, maybe next year? Do you think it was important for Tim Payne to get in there and get some runs on the board and prove his worth to the team?
Yeah, I actually don't think so. I think he's justified his spot more than enough from my end. I just even going back to the Kiwi series last year, he makes runs when it's really tough to get him. That seems to be where he bats his best, even if it's a 30 off 90. Like he'll dig in, play a real role, and I just think going back 2 years, like what he's done for this Australian team in that 2 years or 2.5 years, whatever it is, since the famous sandpaper incident, like I think he's more than justified his role. He's a great leader, a quality batsman, still for mine the best gloveman in the country. I can't see why, and I think it's a little bit harsh. He sort of is constantly answering these questions. I think he's doing a great job, and hopefully it does just shut people up a bit, because it was a really quality dig, and I just don't see why there's any question over him at the moment.
Yeah, I mean it's strange that Steve Smith even gets mentioned when they won the first test quite convincingly, and he's still poor old Tim Payne still has to answer those questions about his future. Whereas if that had been anybody else, it would have been saying, like, you nailed on for the next 5 years, maybe. So it just seems a bit weird. Maybe there's some people out there that just still think that Steve Smith has got the captaincy armband back, and he should have it back.
Yeah, I don't know. Like you look at I can't remember how long it was, but he was one of the first to retain the Ashes in England for a long time. Like that's no easy feat. Again, dominated the Kiwis when they came over here. We thought that was going to be a really good series, and we completely outplayed them. I don't think Payne's done a lot wrong at all. Maybe his DRS use is a bit how you go at times, but
maybe he should just have a practice on the DRS. But
maybe Smithy could be a DRS captain. Maybe that's
maybe
a way to share it around.
I always thought he got those wrong as well, because there was a couple of times when he was in South Africa, when he was looking up to the Justin Langer in the outskirts and saying, should I not review? I don't know whether that's right either, but look, I mean, I suppose questions will never go the way, all the while that Steve Smith is still there and Tim Payne's getting older and older, and then at one point he will retire at some point. But until then, I think the captaincy shouldn't be taken off the captaincy armband shouldn't be taken off his arm. It's pretty harsh to even talk about it, I think.
Yeah, and I just this may be a little harsh too. I just don't see how Smith's name is even in the discussion either after what has happened. I thought you essentially just put a line through the plate. That's kind of it. You've had a go. Things went very pear-shaped underneath his under his guidance. I would have thought him, Warner, and Bancroft are probably never going to have a C next to their name again. And whether that's right or wrong, I just don't know if they can do that as an organisation. I think the optics are pretty bad. I just think it's sort of move on. He's a star bat. Keep him in that role. He's an important senior player, but it's just one of those things. Look at Warney, was never really a captain. He was arguably the smartest cricket brain on that field. But I don't think he necessarily has to be the captain. I know there's a big push for Paddy Cummins potentially as well. Whether fast bowler as a captain would be interesting, but I don't know. I think there's guys that are around, long term, even a Marnus maybe, if his batting form stays that well. He's a student of the game. He could be one that puts his hand up as a long term option as well.
Well, let's talk about the Aussies and where they go from here. Then, do you think Joe Burns has saved his place after a 50 in the second innings? I suppose there was no pressure on him because they were only chasing 90. Alan Borders backed him. even though he was one of the ones that was calling for his head before the game. So Alan Borders backed him to play in Melbourne. And Matthew Wade, I mean, he struggled in the first innings at the top of the order, but I don't suppose they can change it unless Warner comes back. Who would drop out, do you think, if Warner comes back out of those two?
Oh, I think Matty Wade might pay the price for putting the team first and going up the top. I think my understanding was that Payne volunteered to open as well. Got told not to. So Wade's obviously gone up. I'm back Burns. I think I was so happy to see him get that 50. I still think he's a quality player. He's just, he's obviously had a lean run, but I think they were saying it the other night too. Like, they've obviously publicly backed him, so it makes no sense to then go and drop him 3 days later. I was watching, a really long embrace between Burns and Langer after the game. I just can't see him walking away from him now after he's done that. And I think, I don't know if Warner's going to be fit or not. That'd be a miracle recovery if he's back in. But it's a tough one though. If he is, what happens? I would think Wade probably makes way, but I don't know why I would be considering Marnus as an opener. If Warner's not fit and they don't want to persist with Wade up the top as well, you could potentially throw Marnus up as an opener with Burns. Obviously, you don't have the left-right combination there, but you could, potentially shuffle Wade back down the order a bit there. Smith maybe pushes up to 3 if you want to mix things around a bit. And, I don't know. You could, see how things go that way. But, I don't know. It'd be interesting what they come up with. I'd imagine they stick with Green. I think he's shown enough, but I don't know. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think he's done enough. I think I would say that Joe Burns is probably just about done enough, and there's no reason to change the team unless Warner's fit, because they won the Test match convincingly, even though it was unexpected from where they were, and the first innings batting wasn't exactly up to scratch for the Aussies, but I'm sure they'll be working on that. Don't forget, we're talking about pink ball Test matches and the way that the pink ball moves around. We've seen it all, how it can change in session to session, in nighttime, daytime. So coming back to a red ball Test at the MCG on a pitch which would probably be a bit flatter.
Should be flat.
It'll be flat, especially if Warner's back. They'll definitely make it flat if Davies back.
Yeah,
if Davies back, it'll be flat. Look, I mean, I'll be looking forward to. I think the Indians will definitely want to bounce back from that 36 all out. I remember watching a similar thing when Australia were bowled out for 42 in South Africa, and sitting there watching that go on, and I've never really seen it a long time ago back in the day when I was teenager watching England getting skittled by the West Indies for a really low score, but I'd never seen anything like that Indian collapse the other day. It was just quite incredible, and he couldn't really blame the fact that the ping ball moves around a bit because it was daytime.
When it was at Adelaide too. It's not a.
And it's Adelaide.
We're not talking about a Hobart. It's not a. No. It's not a green top. It's really bizarre. What are your thoughts on? It was an incredible result, incredible bowling display, all that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, we've got a Test match over in 2.5 days.
Yeah. I'm not happy with that.
I don't think that's a great result for cricket. It's and they've obviously the pink ball. They're trying to manufacture, scenarios in the game. They're trying to manufacture the balance between bat and ball, but it's still not great. It's 2.5 days of cricket lost. I'm obviously a traditionalist. I think you're a traditionalist too. I'm not a fan of pink ball Test matches, and I just think that the conditions change that much during the game. I know that's what a Test match should be all about, that conditions change, but if it changes from morning till night time on the same day, then I don't think it's fair on the side
it all depends on when you're batting. So if you're batting at night time, you're going to be in trouble. I remember 2 years ago, Jimmy Anderson absolutely turned the ball and moved the ball sideways, and it changed the test match around. I think Australia still went on and won that test, but if it's affecting the game that much, I don't think it's fair on. It's not a fair fight. I don't think it's just.
No, I think I'd rather see the effort go into pitch preparation. Like I'd rather see red ball cricket, but more I guess emphasis on preparing that more even surface that they're playing on. Like we see so many of these pitches that are roads now. I'd rather see it where you've got 30 overs of moving ball to deal with on your first day, first morning, and we'd rather see more of that. A bit more grass on the decks. It's I don't know if they need to. I see Warnie's trying to push for pink ball in all test matches. I don't know about that. I think.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure about Warnie. Full stop. I saw just watching him through that test match.
I don't know what's going on with that.
It's the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. He's talking about the wearing his hat because Cameron Green had his baggy green on for the first time, and he thought, in honour of him, he's going to wear that cap all the time. I thought
he borrowed one of your hats when I saw it.
I want to wear a hat like that. It's like I don't know. He looked like a gardener.
I thought it was Peaky Blinders.
Peaky Blinders or something like that. I don't know. It's just that, but it's
no, he's the king. He can do
explanation for why he was wearing it was just a bit weird to me. I mean, I understand why he's honouring Cam Green, but it was just a bit weird. He seems to have just been to gone. Maybe they brought him in as the man to be the odd one out, as trying to be the Kerry O'Keefe. Because Kerry's not there for a lot of this test match or something. I don't know. It just seemed a bit weird, but
she was
there's a lot of talk about Warnie and his comments, and some people like him, some people don't like him. I'm sort of like on the fence at the moment, but I think
his cricket brain's fantastic.
His cricket brain's amazing, but his sense of humour seems a bit
she's warm.
left field, shall we say? I don't know.
It's he's a bit different. I don't know. He's a bit more. I'd say he's less intense than Ponting, who's brilliant. He's calling things before they happen.
Ponting seems to me Ricky Ponting seems to me to want a fight, basically. Like he always seems to be wanting an argument with someone.
He got one in Layla. Pete Layla gave him one.
Peter Layla. He loves his chats with Peter. I'm not sure whether
I don't know what I was doing there. That was pretty. Layla was fairly aggressive on that one. It was,
I think both of them were sort of like didn't want to back down on it, but it was just that was a strange argument as well, and I'm not sure why it turned into an argument, but.
Actually, I didn't think it was that. It was obviously he's gloved it. I didn't think it was that much of a howler though. Like it's sort of, Matty Wade went up obviously, but I didn't think it was a massive howler. Like it's still a tough one. That little feather on the leg side. It's always hard to nail down.
Well, I thought the idea of the review system wasn't to go on, 50-50 chances. It was to stop the howler, and that wasn't a howler by any stretch of the imagination.
No, I didn't think so.
If they had reviewed it, then Cody would have been out. We all know that, but if he'd done it, I mean, you only have to go back to the Ashes last year, and when he burnt that review. They're never going to forget that one, are they? I mean, Justin Langer is shown on TV for till the end of the days watching that in the test. That's the Amazon thing, and so they won't want to go down that route again. And so I can understand why he was a bit reticent about using it.
No, I thought Ponting. I didn't think it was a complete howler by any stretch. It was just one of those ones. Sort of 50-50 whether you back your back pad or not, and your short leg. And they, the guys around the bat, one of them was confident, the other didn't seem so much. The slips didn't seem to be overly interested. It was more, I thought it was Matty Wade leading the appeal. I didn't think the bowler went up hugely. It just, I don't know, it was one of those ones. You either go for it or you don't. And got away with it in the end.
Well, Marnus, didn't he try and review one before the umpire had even put his finger up? It seemed like it anyway.
That could have been one of his quirks, though. He's everywhere.
He's certainly a character. I suppose you need those sort of characters in teams. The Indians have got Richard Pant when he plays, and he likes to chirp a bit behind the stump. So we don't want to lose those characters from the game, because I think it would be go a bit robotic otherwise, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and it's such a unique sport too. Like, it's a team sport, but such an individual game. Like I love watching the different quirks and the different techniques. It's, you find this at a niche that you feel like you're in a rhythm, you stick to it. It's really, really funny. Like, even I used to love watching guys like Kadich and Chanderpaul, just the way they, almost crab across, and just weird little techniques that they have. And I think that's one of the best parts about the game, is just seeing how different blokes can play so differently and still make runs. I think it's really, really fascinating part of the game.
This time of year, Scotty, it's the time that every Australian likes. Boxing Day test coming up, summer, hot days, few beers and a barbie, can of 4X when you're in Queensland. You got any memories of Boxing Day tests? Obviously you're a young pup.
Yeah, I can't go back as long as you by any stretch.
Nobody, Methuselah doesn't go back as long as me, mate.
I got a few. I think, Hodgie, Big Roy going bananas. That was pretty good. And my favourite is probably, Warney running halfway around the MCG after his 700th, ripping one through Strauss. That was special. That one,
not so special for a prom like me.
No, but it was awesome to see. Like, he's such a character of the game, such an occasion. He just stepped up, got it, and just took off. I don't think they caught him. He was still going.
Well, they reckon he was still running down Punt Road about 2 hours later, wasn't he? And just like it would have been difficult to catch him. Only SK Warren could have got his 700th on Boxing Day at the MCG. So.
It was classic him. Like, it was just that occasion. There's only one bloke in world cricket could have stepped up and done it, and he did it.
He did it again. I wasn't him so much a few years before when David Boone caught that magnificent catch at short leg to get rid of Devon Marshall when Warney got his hat trick at the MCG. Again, sadly, against the English.
He thought it was
a VB can. Were you old enough to remember that one?
Yeah, mate. I think he thought it was a VB can flying off the bat and just went hard at it. Got it. It's big.
It was. I'll tell you what. That would. I don't think they've replaced the divot yet, have they? And when Booney landed, I'm not sure.
Jeez.
It was a fantastic effort, and I remember watching that. I remember watching that live, and it was like middle of the night for me. And Warney was our nemesis in those days, unfortunately. But to see that was just incredible. There was one good one for England a few years before that on the Boxing Day Test match, which I spoke to Alan Border about a couple of years ago. And that was the time when him and Jeff Thompson put on 70 for the last wicket. They went into the fifth day, and they opened the gates at the MCG for nothing, because everybody thought the game was going to be ended, within 10 minutes or so, because it was him and Tomo last two in, and they needed something like 80 to win against England on the final day, and they got it to within 3 runs. And then I think it was either Botham, he edged it to Botham, or it was edged behind. The ball came out of the hands of the slip, bounced into Jeff Miller's hand as a second slip, and Tomo was caught behind, and they finished 3 runs short. Tomo was absolutely livid, and Alan Border said that you could hear, like, the swear words were, you can imagine, can't you? Effing this and effing that. And
you probably can't repeat them.
You can't repeat them on here, but it's like all the way back to because they thought they won it, and England thought they won it. It was similar to the one with Brett Lee.
I remember the Brett Lee, yeah. Freddie.
Similar to that, but this was in the Boxing Day Test, and England thought they'd won the Test match. They only had to turn up on the final day and get rid of Tomo, and they were all done. But he lasted 73 runs, and they almost got a remarkable Test win. It was the MCG and the Boxing Day Test does bring up some classic games, and let's hope this one next week will add to the story. I'm just hoping
Yeah, I
that
really hope it does. Who knows what to expect now, though. I'm very worried about what we'll get. But, really hope it does deliver. It's a great atmosphere. It's a pretty special day for Aussies anyway, wherever you are.
Well, I think in this year particularly, we need something to cheer us up on Boxing Day. Let's hope we get some fantastic entertainment. We can all enjoy a beer or two on Boxing Day, and the Indians put up a better fight than they did in Adelaide. Scotty, thanks for today, mate. I hope you have a great Christmas, and we'll speak to you in the next podcast in a couple of weeks' time.
Sounds good, mate. Enjoy the socks and jocks, whatever you got coming. Have a good one.
I've got them both, mate. And a few beers, maybe. I'm not sure. Thanks, Scotty. See you next time.
Enjoy.
Thanks all. Bye.